Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Just thank you so much. And thank you to Time for this recognition for Mark and I and the Solutions Project and all the frontline groups across the country. Growing up in Jackson, Mississippi, I witnessed my mother making $1 out of 15 cents. And not because she wanted to, but because she had to. We weren't wasteful. We recycled. My mom would tell me to conserve water when I was brushing my teeth or washing dishes. We reused bags and containers, and we carpooled with our neighbors to save money that we didn't have. We shopped secondhand, and we composted food. And all of these sustainable practices are practices that Black, Indigenous, people of color, and low-income communities who are most impacted by the climate crisis, racism, colonialism, we all share these practices. We cannot talk about climate without talking about race. And how certain communities are disproportionately impacted and affected by it. Living adjacent to freeways, petrochemical plants, often with higher rates of pollution, minimal green space, lacking easy access to healthy foods, and more vulnerable to extreme weather and conditions. And on top of that, historically and today, they have been underinvested and disinvested in and excluded from decision-making. When I organized in South Central Los Angeles for 16 years, it was clear that the communities that were on the front lines of environmental degradation and systemic harm were also the communities that were at the forefront of building power and creating, driving, and leading transformational change. Planting gardens to feed their communities, designing green spaces for children to play, building solar panels while creating good green jobs, innovating technology like hydro panels that capture air to create safe drinking water, taking an abandoned industrial site and transforming it into a wind energy hub. Communities on the front lines understand that climate justice is racial justice, that climate justice is economic justice, and climate justice is social justice. And while they have been underrepresented and excluded, they are building collective power and responding to the most intersectional issue of our time.
I love you.
I love you too.
I couldn't agree more with everything you said. We've seen it in action. So when I first started advocating for 100% clean energy, and I was one of the founding members of the Solution Project, our aim was to accelerate the transition to wind, water, and sun, and educate people on what was available in the way of renewable energy. This was almost 10 years ago now. When that was finally accomplished and it looked like the world had embraced the idea of wind, water, and sun for power, Gloria came to us to lead us into this new and profound era. She reimagined our capacity and brought with her this vision to support and uphold frontline communities. It was radical. And these communities who were already fighting for their lives outside of philanthropy and outside of justice, these people could stretch a dime into $100 because they're fighting for their lives already. Now, Gloria set out to transform what we know today as philanthropy. She reimagined how we give support to those who have been historically underfunded and underappreciated by the philanthropic world. Gloria knows that frontline communities need what they need and how to get it to them because she comes from there. Now, I've been doing this a long time. I lived in upstate New York where we had to fight like hell to stop hydrofracking without the help of most of the well-funded environmental orgs. So I know what a transformational leader that rises up out of struggle, living their values, looks like. Looks like this. She's bold, she's a badass, she's powerful, she's a woman, she's a black woman, she has soul, and she lifts everyone around her who is aligned with those same values, and even if they're not. She brings with her kindness, compassion, optimism for a brighter, more just future toward the beloved community that we're all working toward. The climate crisis, it's overwhelming, especially when we're reading the doom and gloom narratives that go viral every single day. We're facing the impacts of climate change, and fighting oppressive systems seems like a harrowing task. But the powerless, we feel, is intentional. Lobbyists, corporations, corrupt politicians, and those abusing power want us to feel helpless. They want us to give up our fight, because when we're helpless, we're not a threat to the system. I have a saying that I have to say to myself often: if you're losing hope, you're not doing enough. The good news is that we're far from helpless. There's so much, look at this. There's so much good happening all over the world, and so many people joining us for this movement for positive change. And it is the most impacted communities who are leading. They are our strength. They are our North Star. They have relationships. They see the world in a relational way. Modernity has left them behind for a blessing of community. And they have the wisdom now to lead us out of the mess that we're in today. We have to invest in that wisdom and give them power in rooms like this. These are the people who are creating the most innovative solutions. Every day, we're inspired by the work of our grantees. We have these grantees. We give them money, and they turn the world into a beautiful place. And we're inspired by them, and we need to hear their stories. We need to bring them close to us. We need to give them resources. We need to let them lead. We need them to lead.
Right on, Mark.
Right on.
And you know our communities will never allow ourselves to be left behind.
That's right.
And one of the things that baffles me, Mark, did you know that 2% of philanthropic dollars goes to environmental issues? 2%.
2%.
Yes, and a fraction of that goes to climate justice organizations, meaning women of color and people of color. And recently, there was another study done saying that about $70 billion of philanthropic dollars that goes into the ethos, just 0.5% of that goes to Black women-led organizations.
Think of that. Only 2% of our philanthropic dollars are going to the very people who are fighting climate change and living through it today. Those are the people who historically have had to live in red line communities. They've been historically unappreciated. And now is the time to change that, and that's what we're here to do. That's what the Solutions Project is about. That's what Gloria's work is to do. So if there's philanthropy and philanthropic people here, think about it. Think about it differently. Because I'll tell you, these communities will take your money and triple it in action. Instead of giving 2%, give 10%, give 5%, give 50%, and you'll see the world change.
And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to be funding frontline communities and resourcing them to win. And what that means is that all of us need to do our part. Government, business leaders, philanthropists, civil society. We all need to step up, show out, follow through on these promises that Vanessa mentioned, and stand in solidarity with the grassroots.
That's right. And let's not forget Hollywood, which, we could do so much better. And the media. We all have our part in this movement. And the doomsday approach of climate change, which I've fallen victim to. I want to scare people into action. But what it's creating is this echo anxiety and this sense that it's this insurmountable thing that we're facing. So Hollywood and the media can shift this paradigm by spotlighting the incredible work happening on the ground today. It's happening all around us. Because when the humans that are most directly impacted tell their stories, like we heard tonight from Vanessa, we hear them. We connect to them. They move us. They show us a way forward. Now, these stories allow us to channel our rage and our fear and our energy into positive action. These positive stories fuel us so that we can rise to the work that lays ahead. And the solutions are right here in front of us. We have it all. To every problem we're facing, there is a solution. It just needs to be scaled up. We already have begun the transition away from the fossil fuel industry, from the pollution, the unfairness, the disregard for humanity. So now we must rise up and hope for a cleaner, brighter, fairer, more kindly future. And all we have to do is just keep moving in the same direction that we're all moving in together right now. And that's how we get there.
And we are so grateful to Time for this recognition.
Yes. Come on, this is better than the Academy Award, man. We're on the cover of Time frickin' magazine.
And it's a testament that the paradigm is shifting.
Yeah, man.
And people are paying attention and listening to our communities. And as Vanessa said so eloquently, and honey, I stand in solidarity with you. The Solutions Project stands in solidarity with you. This award is not just for Mark and I. This award is for the movement builders, frontline leaders in the US and around the world, from Black communities solving food apartheid in the South, to farmers sustaining the Amazon and Brazil, to indigenous activists protecting their land rights in the US and Southeast Asia. It is a representation of the power of grassroots communities that we have been building for generations. So all of us stand on other people's shoulders. We are here with our ancestors today, and I'm honored to be here tonight because I come from these communities. I organized in these communities, and I continue to serve these communities. And this award is for them. So this is an invitation for everyone in this room tonight, whether you are an artist, an industry leader, a politician, or a philanthropist, to do your part and show up for each other. Show up for the people we love. Show up for the places that we call home. We all have a role to play, and together we can create a society where everyone has access to clean air and water, parks and green space, healthy food, a good job to support their families, and overall, healthier lives, where it's not just a golden moment for a few, but it is a golden era for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you.